You are listening to the BPRC podcast, Black People's Republic of China, giving you my opinions of living abroad. I am your host, Gary, better known as G, here to discuss my experiences of being black, expressing positivity and love. Just my opinions, along with some expertise. Welcome to the show, episode 7, Knowledge is Power. Today we'll be discussing the educational landscape in China and what the growth has been over the last 2 decades. We will bring in my professional friend, Mr. Leo, who's an educator in China. But before we get into all of that and what I think, we always have to give praise and give thanks, BPR style way. Just say thank you. That's all we need to do. Thank you, God. You are my king. I need you. I need you. Thank you, God. And that is our intro. Like I said, today we'll be discussing knowledge is power. I wanted to touch on the point, what have we learned about Chinese education in the landscape of Chinese education? But I want to talk about it from a black sense, from a black perspective, right? Let me touch on the importance on education in China. In China, education is gold. Everything is about education, right? Nothing moves without learning first, from their children to the adults, right? The children, their whole day is full of education. And then even the adults, after they go to work, it's all about learning. This is why China has risen so fast in development, because all they do is learn. And they learn from people who know. That's their strategy, right? Bring people in who know a lot, learn from them, which, I'm not necessarily mad at that model. And then they rise a little bit faster. It's almost like using the world as a teacher, But with that being said, how do they see the rest of the world as education? And as a black man, are you seen as an educator? Are you seen as someone of substance? Someone of knowledge and power? It's no secret that in China, they're not given or graced with the talent of common sense. So it's when they look at you as a black man, you are seen for the most part as an athlete. It doesn't matter your size, shape, or whatever. You're seen as an athlete, or you're seen as a powerful physical stature, right? They don't really think about you as an intellect, right? Which is just ridiculous to me, because I always used to say, I'm in China. The fact that I have a legal working visa means by definition, I am intelligent, because the only way to get a working visa is you have to have a certified bachelor's degree at the minimum to get a working visa. So I can't understand how they can see us as non-intellects, in their country. I had touched on it before in a couple episodes before about how your ideas, you have to really push your ideas for them to be heard. Do you feel like, what does it feel like to overcompensate for your intelligence, because of the stereotypes? So me personally, I didn't feel like I had to overcompensate for the stereotypes, but I felt like when I spoke, I needed to be on point and not necessarily sound like a scholar, but I just needed to let them know, you're not talking to an idiot. Use communication that they couldn't understand so that they know, okay, let me tread lightly on water when I talk to that man. So you got to find little ways to let them know that you're not a dummy, and they'll back off and kind of give you the respect that you have earned. Because let's face it, a bachelor's degree is not much, but you still have to earn it. So you still have to do a little bit of work to get that. But I'm going to bring Leo in so we can have some good discussion on that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about with Leo is the second topic. What are the challenges of being black in education in China? In terms of the money, like does it cost a lot? It's a lot cheaper to study in China than it is anywhere else, which is, I wouldn't say that's a challenge. That's a benefit. But the challenge is the communication. If you go in there not knowing the language, it's going to be hard for you to study. But the good thing is, in China universities, no matter who you are, you have to pass a certain HSK level to get your degree, right? So they make you learn the language, and Mandarin is the number one spoken language in the world. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but in the beginning, it is a challenge. So when locals think of you as a violent person or an athlete, it can get under your skin a little bit. So you need to make sure that you are aware of what you're saying, when you're saying, how you're saying it, because you are almost like a trial, that you are what they are going to see the rest of. Every black person that they run in contact with or communicate with is going to represent the next black person that they communicate with or talk to. Education is key. So if you can top the level of education there, then you are a king. You know what I mean? Like, you will feel like a superstar, substantially. The smarter you are, or the smarter you sound, or the smarter you act, gives you more status for the most part. I mean, it's fact that China has the most rigorous curriculum in the world. So everyone there has been raised to learn, and learn at a high rate. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion in short. But let's go ahead and bring Leo in and see what he feels on this topic. Let's get him in here. Mr. Leo.
Hey, what's up, man?
Mr. Leo, how's it going, sir? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you well. What's happening, man? How you feeling today?
Cool, man. I'm good. Well, Leo, man, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome to the BPRC, Black People's Republic of China. First of all, I want to say thank you for being on the show. We go way back. I miss you, man. How you doing, brother? I ain't seen you in a while.
I know. First, let me say thanks. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you, man. It's crazy out here. I think things are getting back to normal, so
Okay.
it's all right. We go back to work next Wednesday.
Oh, that's
In 2 days.
that's wonderful to hear. So I really just wanted to bring you on the show because I was talking about education, and I know you're an educator. And again, this is just, we just having a conversation like we would be if I was, if I was beating you on the pool table. You know what I mean? Just a regular conversation. We
Purely hypothetical, like it would never happen. I got it. Okay.
No. I was talking about education and how knowledge is power, and what it's like to be black in China as an educator, or going to school in China. I know you have a family, so you raise your kids there. Can you just kind of talk about what it's like being black in China on the education sector, in terms of the undergrad and graduate programs, and just overall the challenges that maybe a black man or a black child might go through in China?
All right. Yeah. Cool. I've been here off and on since 2006, and I've worked in two different, very distinct types of education out here. One, educating local Chinese children, kind of in after-school format, and additional English support lessons.
Mm.
And that was when I first got here. And for the last decade or so, I've been working in an international school which caters to foreign passport holders, and that's in a more traditional K through 12, kindergarten through 12th grade type of school environment, where I've worked with every population there, from the babies who enter into pre-K kindergarten
Right.
to the graduating seniors. Those two environments are different. They're very different. I'll start with the first one, being the local traditional kind of Chinese supplementary English classes after school.
Now, are you talking from the perspective of being the black teacher, or how they're looking at the black teacher?
I guess being a black teacher.
Okay.
I can talk about what my kids go through. but they probably be better to talk to you about their experience. But just, I can talk about what it was like being a teacher in the classroom and working in that environment and having to deal with parents and students.
Yeah, what's that like? Tell us.
Just like teaching. All right, so like I said, the first one, when I'm working in the local schools in the local Chinese environment, there was some challenges initially. There's some challenges when you walk in and your job there is to teach English, and they don't know how well you can do that because their stereotypical idea of what an American person is doesn't look like me.
Right.
So when I walk into that environment, it's kind of like you have to prove yourself, but I'm kind of used to that everywhere I go. So that's nothing new. And then you show that you can do the job well. And then, I've had a lot of success in the classroom. The students love me, and I'm fortunate to say that, and the parents do as well. So you just get in there, you show what you could do. But initially, you're met with a lot of skepticism. I've had situations where I was the only American on staff in those types of environments with other teachers who were European, who looked the part, and the parents would favor them over me. And I'm sitting there thinking, this other teacher, being from Turkey or France, has a very thick accent, and their English isn't all that great, but they look the part. And me being from Washington, D.C., English is my first language, but just based off my appearance, the parents had a preference for the other teacher, and you could feel that. It was obvious. I was even in one situation where I was sent away from that school and told that they didn't want any Black teachers there. So that was 2006. That was a very small city a long time ago. And if you understand how China operates, that type of thought, that type of interaction, that doesn't surprise you.
So you're right. Like if you've been there, then it doesn't surprise you. So that's actually what I wanted to say. Because you've been there so long, how has that changed, like over the last 15 years? Like you said, that was 2006, but I was just there for the last 3 years, and that seems very similar to what's happening currently.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. It could very well be. But since I left that environment, I no longer interact with that demographic. So now I'm working in the international schools, and it's completely different there because everyone's foreign. Everyone's from a different place. The language of instruction is obviously English again, but this is a traditional school, and everyone's from all over the place. And it's more specifically the population you're servicing. They aren't Chinese. So the largest demographic at the school is American passport holders. Then you got Spanish, German, Korean, students from all over the globe. The school I'm working in now represents over 40 nationalities. So they obviously understand that people can speak English and be native speakers from different parts of the world, and that's okay. So that environment, I'm no longer in that first environment. I'm more in an international environment, and the pressure to kind of perform. Well, actually, the pressure to kind of prove yourself, I should say, isn't there as much because they know you could be from America and Black at the same time.
So like in terms of like I know the boys can probably give me a better perspective of what they go through, but you can talk to me about the challenge of being a parent, right? What challenges have you gone through being a parent of Black boys growing up, being raised in the Chinese educational system?
Well, it's not necessarily the Chinese educational system because of the international community.
That's right.
Like the way that the curriculum operates, and some of the people listening may not quite understand it. So I'll explain it that our school is run by the IB, it's the International Baccalaureate, and they have schools all over the globe.
Okay.
And again, we take all foreign passport holders, so we don't have any Chinese students at the school because of the curriculum that we teach. So the curriculum that we teach is a Western curriculum, and the teachers are all from many different places all over the planet. So there isn't. So one thing I always say about the environment my boys are currently raised in is everybody's different, so everybody's the same. So for example, they'll have like 14 people in their homeroom in their class, and those people will be from like 10, 11 different countries.
All right.
So everybody's different.
All right.
Right. So everybody's different. So them being Black is no different than the kid being from Israel, or the kid being from Pakistan, or the kid being from South Africa. Everybody's the same because of the differences. So it's a very welcoming, inclusive type of environment in the international school setting. So if I had to put my kids in a local traditional Chinese school, I would imagine it'd be much different We actually have students coming over from that school environment, transferring into our school environment who are foreign, and they talk about how they feel isolation and everything else. But my kids don't really feel that.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
everybody's the same. Everybody's the same because they're different.
Okay. So there is a some sort of comfortability if you're thinking about raising children, or if you get a job offer in China, you got to bring your kids with you. There is a support system set up for your children to go to an international school and not have to be embedded in with a Chinese system and have to go through all kind of stereotypes. But let's say this: those international schools are not cheap.
No, they're expensive, really crazy expensive. And the only reason that we can afford it is because I work there, right?
Right.
So otherwise, it's 30 USD per kid, so, and that's 2 kids, that's $60,000, which I don't have to put towards education
Right.
at the moment.
Right.
So yeah, like I said, we're fortunate to be in that environment. Others may not have that opportunity, so they may have different experiences. But I can say that my boys are still like the only Black kids in their grade usually.
Okay. Right.
So,
Right. It's not many. It's not many.
but it's not many. Like recently, we've got Kyle, my oldest, in grade 10. There's no other Black folk in his grade. He's been the only kid since I think about 4th grade. There was another kid, French kid, that he used to hang out with back in 3rd or 4th grade, but that kid since left the school.
Okay.
But ever since then, he's been by himself. My youngest, CJ, he's by himself as well. But there's another kid in 5th grade who they spend a lot of time with, a close relationship, and another one in kind of 8th grade. But you can count them on your hands. It's not many of us out there.
That sounds like going to a predominantly white school. That don't sound no different.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. It's like a typical private school environment back home. But also the other interesting thing is we are one of 2, even though there's several Black students there, we're one of 2 Black families. All of the other Black students we've ever encountered at the school have been adopted by white families.
Okay.
So it's all been little boys.
Okay.
Right? So we've all had our young Black men coming in being adopted by white families and raised by white families into this environment. And they're happy to see me.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. Because that's got to be super hard for our young men. And I ran into a family one time, and I had this conversation with them. I was like, it's cool to be adopted by anybody, right? If your circumstances need you to be adopted, it doesn't matter who adopts you, as long as you're loved, right? But at the end of the day, especially in China, if you need, as a young Black man, you need to see a Black man face. Like, you need to have some kind of communication with another Black man, because there's some things that's happening that you need some advice.
Well, and the good thing, and you're right, and the good thing that I've experienced and the people I've interacted with is that their parents all understand that. And the parents all come up to me and kind of say, hey, try to establish a relationship, build a rapport, and then, eventually work their way up to asking me to spend time and talk to the boys. Right. And I always, I'm already doing that. But,
right. You don't even know. So Leo, let me ask you this now. Do you find, what are some of the stereotypes that you see in terms of your mind? And I know the typical stereotypes of, I know they look at us as like athletes or just like physical beings, right? But have you ever run into a situation where maybe a local or a national kind of looked at you like, oh wow, he's smarter than I thought?
I don't. You know what? I'm very careful about the way I present myself. Mm-hmm. So I guess that I can't avoid that, but I've never been confronted with that. And when I say that, nice suits to work all the time. Right? So always dressed to the nines. 3-piece suits, nice tailored suits, just trying to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward. I guess because I'm conscious and I'm aware the fact that could happen. Right. Those types of people come into situations, those preconceived notions about how I would be based off the way that I look. Mm-hmm. And I've had students actually tell me, funny story, during orientation, when I stand up. At the beginning of the school, everybody introducing themselves. And one student told me that when her parents heard I was going to be their teacher, and I teach 2 courses at the school. I teach language and literature, and I teach a course, theory of knowledge, which is like an epistemology course. when they found out I was going to be their teacher, they were like, oh, he can teach you how to speak hip hop. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm trying to understand
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's the first thing they said. Right? That sentiment is always there. I've never been necessarily confronted with it, but like I said, I like to get the best image of myself in a lot of these situations. And with the community being so diverse, and the school costing so much money, I think the parents have faith in the administration to hire the most qualified candidate to do the job.
Right.
And I think when you walk into this situation, you're walking into a situation where you're paying all this money. You expect the teachers of top quality. So I think they would be surprised if I was anything less than. And I think that's maybe just me being optimistic. But again, I've never had a negative interaction in that regard.
Right. So that's funny because every time I think about my experience, and I love China. Let's clear that up. I can't wait to get back. But my experience, all black men, American blacks, and I don't even say Americans. I would say all black black people in China have the same experiences at least once during their stay. If you stay there for a year or longer, you've had some kind of interaction like that last one you just described, right? At some point.
Yeah.
That's all I really wanted to discuss. But I'm gonna keep you on the show a little bit longer, man, and let you play a couple games with us. We're gonna do some mind fitness right now. We like to play a game called Blackout, and in Blackout, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you an industry, and you have to name as many black people in that industry as you can in 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right. So typically, there's only so many categories because I would love to do like art and all of that good stuff, but most people don't know enough black artists. Because I don't. But so I'm gonna give you. Let's see what I want to give you. Let me get the clock started first, and then see what I'm gonna give you. All right. You know what? I like the way you think, so I'm gonna give you history. You have to name as many as many black historical figures as you can in 30 seconds. It could be any. It could be and just a historical figure. Like it can be an activist. It can be an athlete. Just a historical black person, someone that created history.
Okay.
All
right. Okay.
All right. You got 30 seconds. Nope. I'm gonna tell you when to go. When I say go, you go. All right. Ready? Go.
All right. We got Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, Fred Hampton. Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, Cornel West, Barack Obama. Took me a while to get onto that one. We're talking about it. Well, historically, we got Michael Jordan coming up because he's doing a lot of great stuff. We got Booker T. Washington.
Okay. I'm gonna give you. Hold on, let me stop that noise. Okay. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna take Jordan from you, but I'm gonna give you the last one you said. I think we said Marcus Garvey. But no, you know what? I'm gonna give you Jordan. So that means I'm gonna give you 11. And that would give you the record for Blackout. So you are the top dog. Nice. Yeah, you are the top dog in Blackout. I like your speed on that, right? So that was good, man. You did good on the history. I wasn't expecting that. All right, so that's good. So look, we got one more. We're gonna play Alphabet Soup. Okay. So Alphabet Soup. So in Alphabet Soup, what I do is I give you a letter, and you gotta name as many words starting with that letter in 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right. So I think you won your game today. So now I gotta give you a hard letter.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna go with I, and you can't say names. Names don't count.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
All right. 30 seconds. Let's go.
All right. Invent, intrepid, insights, incense, irrelevant, irreverent, illogical, irrational, irrespective. Incorporate, independent, indictment, insolence, indolent, incompetence, incompetency, variation of the same word, indelible.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I love alphabet soup because you got it, man. I was just talking to in episode 6. I was telling someone, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you the secret, but I'm not gonna give you the secret. But I didn't give him the secret, and you figured it out, right? You said it at the end. Nobody figures out how to turn one word into 2 words, right?
Yeah.
So
I play a word game like that with my students.
okay,
We just like
okay,
they give me letters and I throw them on the board.
okay.
We try to come up with as many words as possible.
So you definitely
I get
you got 20.
20. Okay.
You got 20. That's like, what's that, one every 1.5 seconds? Hey, brother, you doing you doing the most right now. So I appreciate that. Yeah, so that was it, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But before you go, I definitely want to give you the platform to speak. Say what you want to say, maybe plug whatever you want to plug. Just leave the listeners with a little something.
Yeah, cool, man. Thanks. I'm just hoping that because I know you for a few years now, and one of the things that brought us together was basketball. And I'm just hoping things get back to normal soon, and I can get back to this basketball league that we're starting out here. Working with the Shanghai Sharks basketball team, trying to bring some youth basketball and youth sports out here and get into that business sector and just doing that. So, I mean, that's what we hopefully can get back to things in the fall where we can promote that and get kids out here on the court through sports and bring everybody together. Sports is one of the biggest things to bring everybody together. You were talking earlier about how we're perceived out here. And yeah, one of the avenues that when we fit in very well with is sports. You can look at that as a positive or a negative thing, but I always like to put the positive spin on it. So we use that to bring everybody together and then and show a different side of who we are after we use that end of sports to get in, then we can start expanding people's horizons about who we are as people. So I guess that's all I got to say. But thanks for the opportunity, man.
Nah, that's great, man, and I appreciate you. And we're gonna we definitely, as soon as I finish this, man, I'm gonna call you and we're gonna talk about that other thing too.
All right, for sure.
All right, sound good. All right, man. Appreciate you, and stay safe. And we'll talk soon.
All right, man, get you back out here, man.
All right, for sure. As soon as them borders open.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll holler at you in a little bit. All right, later.
Peace.
That was my man Leo giving us his side of the story and his opinions on being black in China when it comes to education. So, as we do, man, let's pick it back up, get back into the mood of listening. And this is our BPRC pickup track, Summer. Oh, we're not gonna play that one. We're gonna skip that one. Let's just go, you know what? Let's go to New York.
I just wanna roll up, pull up till I'm fucked up. Shining and they know what.
Got that old school boom bap sound to it. Still a nice little flow though.
Roll up, pull up.
And that's just to knock off the little cobwebs before we get back into talking. And we're going to talk about the third topic, which is what are the educational opportunities that are available to us in China being black. The main thing, which is my main point, which I try to tell all young people, first and foremost, open your mind to the perspective of even studying abroad, okay? Because for one, you're gonna put yourself in an opportunity. You're gonna put yourself in a situation to be more valuable when you want to get a job, right? You're gonna become the candidate. You're gonna go from being the candidate who has a nice education in America, competing for a job with a lot of kids who have a nice education in America, to being the candidate that has a nice education in America, maybe a post-grad education in China or Spain or wherever country you decide to go to school to. Plus, you're going to speak 1 or 2 languages. See, the reason why America is at the bottom of the world with education Not the reason, but one of the reasons is it's amazing to me how a huge percentage of individuals, from adults to children in other countries, speak at least 3 to 4, 5 languages. It's amazing to me. Like, you almost feel like, what have you been doing with your whole life? You know what I mean? Like, literally, I haven't met anyone there that didn't speak at least 3 languages, you know? That is definitely one of the educational opportunities. And the other opportunity comes down to financial. Let's face it, kids in America are going in debt to go to school, right? Just to get a job. That seems a little backwards for me. You pay money to go make money to pay back the money that you paid to make the money. What is that? And when I say lower, I mean significantly lower. We may pay anywhere between 25,000 and 60,000 per year annually to go to college, a large university, whereas in China they may pay $7,000 for the year. Like, that seems really, really affordable. So you're gonna get your bachelor's degree with 28,000, then you're gonna get your master's degree with another 14. So you're gonna get your bachelor's and your master's degree for a total of 42,000. That's cheaper than what universities cost per year. And you're gonna get 6 years for that. That is a huge benefit, because also in China they don't allow you have to speak the language. Like, when you go to school there, and I'm only speaking about China because that's where I've lived, but I'm sure, I don't know about other educational systems, but you cannot graduate without learning the language. You have to be able to speak and read and write a little bit before you can get your degree. I think that's huge. I think it's hard because Chinese is not easy to learn, but I think that's a phenomenal way to educate its students. It's talent. It's up and coming talent. And also one of the big opportunities, is that there's something about China in education that is like it's like America in sports. People who play sports seriously in America are focused. Like they are focused, right? And it's almost like education in China is its sport. When you go to study in China, you better have a focus. And if you don't have one, you will learn one, okay? Because it's no nonsense. Like, students there aren't going to be fooling around, goofing around with you in classroom, telling jokes. It's matter of fact, it's going to be quiet, and it's going to feel like a lecture. Every time you step into a classroom for the whole class, no one's going to speak. It's interesting, and I'm sure there's more ways to kind of divulge the information or delve into the information. But that's my opinion on the third topic. Let's continue on. This is a fresh new find by God Stanley. The song is called Troop.
4 or 5 shots, I'm getting wasted. Bartender says it's cutting me off. Black, wait, what you mean? Next thing I feel
Book,
on my shoulder.
music.
Turn around, ooh, she's a fine dime. She looking pretty. Oh my God. She like, hey boy, can you buy me a drink? Like, yeah, baby mama, I can get you a.
This young man lives in China, by the way.
What's with you? Shit, I just wanted to fuck with you. My only intention to get you to pay attention. Give you what you're missing in every single position. What you want.
That is God Stanley with Troop, fresh new find. It is that time for list, and since we always try to stay on topic, so since we are in education today, our list today comes from businessinsider.com. Unbelievable facts about how China is winning the school race. Number 1 unbelievable fact. The youth literacy rate is at 99.4%. That means every child, 99% of the children can read, write, and understand Chinese calligraphy or Mandarin language at the age of 3. That's pretty good, right? Number 2, Chinese citizens must attend school for 9 years, meaning you cannot drop out of school before middle school. And the reason why that is because you have to take a test. Imagine this. You have to take a test to enter into middle school. So if your child cannot pass a middle school test, your child does not go to school. In which case, you got to figure out how to teach your child at home. Now, this is not a third world country anymore, but some of these cities are. These third tier cities are still poor, so they can't afford to get tutors and things like that if their children don't go to school. So what happens is the little boys end up just working in the business or the restaurant or something, and that's what they do for the rest of their life. Like, that is a serious thing. That's a real thing. Number 3, school days are almost 9 hours a day, 8.6 hours long. So they start school at 7:30, they finish school at 5 o'clock. But, most of us finish school at 3, right? So, but they go to school until 5. Number 4, almost all students participate in after school tutoring. So imagine they go to school in class until 5 o'clock, and then they go to after school tutoring at 5 o'clock. That's dinner time, right? No, that's not dinner time for them. They go to more studying. Number 6, 56.7%, so 57% of Chinese students study 2 or more hours after school. So they go to school. Let's look at this timeline. They start school at 7:30. They finish school at 5 o'clock. They go to after school tutoring until about 6 or 7, and then they study 2 more hours after that until about 9 o'clock. They eat a little somewhere in there. Maybe they eat around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's why they're leading in education. Number 7, only 35% of Chinese students watch more than 2 hours of TV. So again, we know why. Monday through Friday, they are studying from 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Who wants to watch TV after that if you're 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, right? So that's crazy, 35%. So only 3 out of 10 kids watch more than 2 hours of TV a day. I can understand it. Number 8, the Chinese curriculum is the most rigorous in the world. We know why. We just ran through the schedule. Number 9, students must take entrance exams to be accepted into middle school. I mentioned that earlier. This is where I got it from. Imagine that, taking a test to get into middle school. Imagine if we was in America, we had to take tests to get into a middle school. Yeah, right. Number 10, students are not allowed to use calculators in school. This is a country who is number 1 in math, and they are not allowed to use calculators in school. Man, it's mind-boggling sometimes. They are missing out on a lot of social education, but they are making up for it in other areas. So that's going to conclude our opinions and statements and views of education in China. But you know how we do before we leave. We always like to leave on an up note, and we're going to take you on the outro song. But before I go, here's the quote of the day. Change is the end result of all true learning. Thank you for listening to the BPRC podcast. Stay safe and healthy. Protect your loved ones until the next one. Follow us on Instagram, BPRC2020, Facebook. You can listen on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, everywhere. We're everywhere. Send me your thoughts on Twitter. We can dialogue together at BPRC.